Hi, my name is Andrew Rafferty, and this is my video presentation for Module 6, where we're going to be talking about the UDL Guidelines and how they apply to two of my classroom resources. The two resources I chose to use were my Microsoft PowerPoint presentations and how I convert them to web pages using HTML 5 and then we are also going to be talking about my Quizlet class that we use. Now I created a table here to go over just all the features of the UDL guideline and how Quizlet meets their standards. But let me take you through Quizlet quickly and show you how I use it. That way you can see just a better understanding of my opinion on how they met the UDL guidelines. So for chemistry, we have the students practice chemical nomenclature. Right now they are trying to memorize their -1 ions. The reason they are memorizing the ions is not just for memorization's sake, but when we hit Unit 4, they need to be able to complete and balance chemical equations. And without knowing the ions and how to make ionic compounds, and without knowing how to write your covalent compounds, you will have a very, very difficult time in Unit 4. So the whole semester up to this point is like a big race in understanding. This year we overhauled our, we call it TGIF unit, or our chemical nomenclature unit, to make it more gamified. We lost some class time this year. We don't have a flex period at the end of the day, so this is more individual student pacing. One of the tools that students can use and earn study points for in order to take the quizzes is Quizlet. Now Quizlet offers us a lot of features, flashcards, learn, write, spell, tests, and then there's games, match gravity, and sometimes we meet during lunch and learn and play Quizlet live. It's a nice community game that you can play. And I think an online teacher would still be able to do Quizlet live. The students just wouldn't be able to work in the same room, but they could still work together. If you haven't tried Quizlet live in the classroom, I highly, highly recommend it. The kids love it. It's a lot of fun, and they learn in the process. One of the big things, and I'll talk about this in a second, is that you can click this audio button, and the computer will read, it will say F, and then it will read fluoride. Unfortunately, my Screencast-O-Matic is the free trial version, so it does not play computer audio. One thing also that I realized I haven't been taking full advantage of is when you are creating your flashcards, there's an option to put images in, and I think that would be a huge boost to my kids, especially maybe not during this chemical nomenclature unit, but if we do this later, especially when we're talking about ionic and covalent bonding in Unit 6 and 7, so trends of the periodic table and different types of bonds. Being able to see what these look like at the molecular level might help a lot. And even now, the more I think about it, I could even use this to show we have monatomic ions like fluoride, which is just one atom, or we have our polyatomic ions like bicarbonate, which has hydrogen, carbon, and oxygen in it. So showing that they actually have multiple atoms in it might actually assist them. So that's something I probably want to add in the future. So let me go to my PowerPoint slide. So some things I bolded here. This goes over everything, every facet of the UDL guidelines. But some things I bolded were there isn't much self-assessment or reflection with Quizlet. The kids can reflect back on how they did, but they don't get to grade their own work. Now this is just mostly for vocabulary terms, so that is not too big of a hit. And then, like I said earlier, illustration is an option. I need to definitely use that more. I could even use that more for my English language learners for just key vocabulary terms, or for our applied chemistry class, we use ChemWords. So having those pictures might be very, very helpful. The audio is going to be a huge boost, and we're going to start using that a lot more. Let's see, and the last thing I bolded is it's really nice that students can use Quizlet on their cell phones, a tablet, laptop, home computer. It doesn't matter the media, you can use Quizlet. The kids actually prefer to use Quizlet either on our Chromebooks that we have in the classroom or on their cell phone. Alrighty, and already 5 minutes. I gotta move quicker. So the next thing I want to show is my PowerPoint. So for chemistry, it's very important that I use detailed slides, because especially when we're going through stoichiometry where you are converting from one side of a chemical equation to the other, I want to show the steps, especially in my presentation. So if I pull up a slide, we want to see how much money we can get out of silver nitrate. So silver nitrate is a solution we use quite a lot in class, and if you do the correct chemical reaction, you can extract the silver from that. We want to know how much silver can I get out of silver nitrate. So here's a chemical equation. First thing students would have to do would be balance this equation. So we want to make sure we balance the equation. Now for stoichiometry, I want to say if I have 100 grams of copper, how many grams of silver am I going to be able to get out of my silver nitrate? Now this is assuming I have enough silver nitrate for this reaction. Okay, so the students will have to perform stoichiometry. At this point when we're using this slide, they have already done some stoichiometry. They just have not converted from either side of the equation. Okay, so we have a roadmap that they use. So they're going to go from 100 grams of, and this is what they have their background knowledge in, 100 grams of copper. You will convert your grams of copper to moles of copper, go from moles of copper to moles of silver to mass of silver, and you should get your answer. Now the one new step they have is going from moles of copper to moles of silver. Okay, so if you don't have chemistry background, this is probably quite crazy for you. Hopefully the interaction of the PowerPoint does help quite a bit. Now we can start setting up, if our given information is 100 grams of copper, we can put that in. Now ignore the helium. I need to fix that. I don't know why that's there. We're going to go from grams to moles, moles to moles, and then moles to grams. Now this is called factor labeling, and we have been doing this since the first week of class, so they should feel quite comfortable. We start by converting between metric units, and then we can convert from different units of like mass and volume and density and so on. So we can plug in our numbers, and the students already know how to do this. This is our one new step, and we're going to show them exactly how we do that. So from our balanced equation, we can see if we have 2 moles of silver nitrate, we have 1 mole of copper, 2 moles of silver, and 1 mole of copper nitrate. Right, if I double that, everything else doubles, and students can start to see this pattern. So if I have 8 moles of silver, you would have 8 moles of silver nitrate. Everything would multiply by 4. So now here we look at our chemical equation. If we have 1 mole of copper, and one thing I love about PowerPoint is the animation. So I can literally pull this 1 down the screen, and the kids can see exactly where I got that number from. Now for moles of silver, we can see how the 2 is highlighted, and I can pull it down. Okay. Now this might be quite fast for some kids, especially if there's some kids that have problems focusing in the classroom. Maybe something else is going on in their life. Maybe they have some visual impairments. So I would love to offer this to students at their home. The problem is that not many kids have PowerPoint, and now you really have to pay for PowerPoint. So there's a plugin that I use called HTML5 point. Sorry. You can download that online, and it's just a plugin to your PowerPoint. So if I go to my PowerPoint, right, there is a tab right here for HTML5 point, and you hit publish. So let's take a look at what this very complicated PowerPoint slide would look like as a web page. Okay, so it is the same thing. Students can access this from our Canvas learning management system or wherever else you would share a link to the students. And this actually shows every single animation I have just by clicking over. Now it could be tedious for a student, but a student that might have been absent or a student that might have had trouble with the lesson can certainly use this to get caught back up. Highly recommend this. Now I used to use a program called slidego.com. Now they are using a different mean to hand in your PowerPoint to get it transferred into HTML. So this is one I found today. I'm on a free trial, but it certainly looks like something I would pay money to use. It would be a huge benefit for my classroom. So I actually made an HTML5 point of what I'm doing tonight. Okay, so some big things here for my PowerPoint presentation / HTML5 point. I guess I could do a better job at my PowerPoints of having goals and objectives, but that's not implied just from this resource. And through a PowerPoint presentation, there's not much collaboration or a community environment. It would most likely be outside of that and independent work. It is huge for self-regulation. Kids get to look at notes before or after. All students have access to this, even if they don't have PowerPoint. It's very good. PowerPoint is very detailed, so you can highlight patterns, especially like I did with stoichiometry. And like I said, you can show this through PowerPoint or the web page. Now you can use Google Slides as well. It does not work well for my chemistry class because I can't show all of the animations like I would prefer. Alright, so I'm sorry this went a little bit over. Hopefully you did check this out and you got to see HTML5 point, and hopefully you can add that to your classroom.